The Minnesota Timberwolves made one of the biggest trades of the NBA offseason last year, sending a huge haul to acquire three-time Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert. They paired him in the front court with one of the best shooting big men in the game and three-time All-Star Karl Anthony Towns, who has proven offensively, but throughout his career has really shown a lack of effectiveness on the defensive end. This was one of the most ambitious trades we have seen in the last 5 to 10 years of the NBA, and after one season together, many people think it's time for it to be over. Now, Minnesota didn't have a terrible season, making the playoffs with a 42-40 record despite Towns missing 53 games, and with the midseason acquisitions of Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker helping them along the way, they were able to make the playoffs barely through the play-in. But Towns and Gobert's fit together looked less than ideal when they shared the court, and due to a multitude of factors, it seems going forward Towns may be the odd man out for the squad he has been a part of since 2015, and today we're going to be talking about how Karl Anthony Towns down the line could potentially be the next big star on the move. Now, Towns is still easily one of Minnesota's best players, but he may have to get dealt in the near future. My guess would be this happens the offseason after this one currently and not this summer, but nonetheless, there certainly could be a big move on the horizon for Minnesota, and there are multiple reasons why this could be. The first concrete reason is the questionable fit with Rudy Gobert. Now, the claim could definitely be made that Towns is a better player than Gobert, but after making such a big commitment to him with their trade to get him last offseason, and the way his value has dipped since that point, it would really be hard to see the Timberwolves sending Gobert away somewhere else after just one season. While Towns and Gobert only played 27 games together, the question of their fit is very apparent. Now, defensively, Minnesota did see an increase in their statistics on that end and rankings after acquiring Gobert, and they posted a defensive rating with Towns and Gobert on the floor in 537 minutes that was better than the league-leading Cavs. On the other side of the ball, though, the T-Wolves offense with the Twin Towers on the floor had some real struggles. The Timberwolves ranked 23rd in the league in efficiency. The 106.2 offensive rating when Towns shared the floor with Gobert was more than 2 points per 100 possessions less than bottom of the league Charlotte at 108.4. Now, this is a small sample size, and that could definitely very much support the fair claim that the Wolves should run it back next season. But after the 2023-24 season, things are looking pretty murky in the cap department for Minnesota, and that is a huge reason why Towns could be gone. With Anthony Edwards inking a 5-year, $260 million extension with the Timberwolves this offseason, Rudy Gobert having 3 years, $84 million left on his deal, and another big in Naz Reid getting a 3-year, $41 million deal, and one of the best perimeter defenders in the league in Jaden McDaniels being due for an extension soon, Towns, who is about to enter the first year of his 5-year, $158 million contract, may have to be taken off of Minnesota's books for things to work for them moving forward. Speaking of Naz Reid, who Minnesota did surprisingly bring back, he may be another factor in the Timberwolves dealing cat, as they know they have another capable offensive big man to put alongside Gobert if the Kentucky product leaves. Reid this year really broke out in Towns' absence, averaging 12 and 6, shooting 55% from the field and 33% from 3 in just 19 minutes per game in the 50 games without Cat this past season. He also averaged over 16 points a game, 7 boards, and just under 2 assists, shooting 50% from the field and 33% from 3 in 11 games as a starter this year, and Minnesota expressed their commitment to him, giving him an extension, even with 2 max centers on their team at the moment. But with that being said, $90 million a year being tied to 3 big men on your team doesn't seem like it is super sustainable over the course of multiple years. And returning to the Gobert trade, another thing that incentivizes a cat trade is the boatload of assets Minnesota lost in that trade. In the trade with the Utah Jazz, the Timberwolves in total gave up 5 players and 5 picks for the now 31-year-old French rim protector. With a team that looks to be built around their 2 under-23 wings in Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards moving forward, the Timberwolves really handicapped themselves for the future in terms of building around their young guys. but may have the chance to possibly recuperate, obviously not all, but some of that value they dumped to Utah. The fact that they really lost assets in the Rudy Gobert trade and now have $90 million tied to 3 centers are 2 other major reasons why Karl Anthony Towns could be the odd man out, with Gobert recently being acquired and Naz Reid being just signed to an extension. Cat seems like the only movable piece with legitimate value on this team at the moment. When we look at the outlook of this roster, we know Anthony Edwards is untouchable, and Jaden McDaniels seems very unlikely to be moved, with Minnesota keeping him out of the Gobert trade talks this prior offseason and him turning into one of the best defenders in the league at 22 years old this past season. Gobert and Reid have already been discussed, and the likes of Mike Conley and Kyle Anderson are good vets, but don't exactly have a crazy amount of value on the trade market, especially with Conley turning 36 next season and being on an expiring deal. And as for the picks this team has, we know they sent 3 unprotected picks along with swaps to Utah last summer. There's really only one valuable, flexible asset that they may be willing to part with currently on Minnesota's books, and that is Karl Anthony Towns. Now, to wrap this video up, a few possible destinations for the 2-time All-NBA big could be the Portland Trailblazers, Atlanta Hawks, Houston Rockets, Brooklyn Nets, and the New York Knicks, who are a long shot, but with Karl Anthony Towns growing up a Knicks fan and with his connections to CAA, I wouldn't exactly rule out Cat wanting to play for New York in the future. Overall though, the Karl Anthony Towns situation in Minnesota is definitely something to keep your eye on in the next year or so, and I definitely think next offseason could be the time where they finally part ways with the former #1 overall pick. I thank y'all for watching as always though, and peace out.